Spoiler Sleepover is sponsored by Willow Tree Kitchen.
Willow Tree Kitchen is a one-woman owned and operated bakery currently slinging delicious vegan cookies, mixes, and baked goods out of Kitchen Local in Amesbury, Mass.
Follow Willow Tree Kitchen _ on Instagram or go to their website at willowtreekitchen.com for more.
Greetings, ladies, gents, and our non-binary friends. Welcome to Spoiler Sleepover, part of the Nerdcast Network. Join your hosts, Jason, Michael, and Rob, as they bring you on a slash-tastic adventure through cinema. Now, enjoy the show. It will be a real scream of a time.
We're back. Hi, folks. Hi, it's me. It's Jason Michael. I am back, of course, with Christine. Hi, Christine.
Hello. Yeah.
We are firing into this recording because, dear God, the last one, while not my personal favorite, was a struggle. Let me just say beforehand, I have no longer taken notes on my phone. We're back to full-blown paper notes. There's a lot of them for this episode. Yeah, 4 pages worth of paper notes. So hopefully this one should be a bit more palatable for the listening experience. But, of course, before we talk about the movie, we need to talk about a little what's been keeping us up at night. So, Christine, I will continue this theme. You are our guest. Would you like to go first?
I would love to. And going back on my first time that we were talking about this, I actually sleptwalked the other night. And
really?
I did, and I woke up and I found myself in the corner of my room.
That's haunting.
Yeah, it was very haunting. And then I woke up straight out of bed after the fact that I went back to bed, apparently. I woke up and I was looking in the corner of the room, and apparently I saw a man in the corner of the room laying down in a chair. And my husband said, "Go back to sleep." I said, "No. I'm not going back to sleep until I figure out who this guy is." And
are you sure you didn't just watch this movie again?
I did not. And
eerily close.
It was very eerily close. And I just looked at him and I said, "No, there's someone there." And he goes, "All right, babe, go back to sleep." And for the first time in forever, I actually remembered that there was a man in the chair. But it wasn't just an ordinary man. It was my husband's buddy from work. So I don't know why he was in our house. I don't know why he was in our room, but apparently he was there. I also have a cold, so who knows? It could be just because I don't feel that great. So it could be just hallucinating that there's people in our room. Who knows? So that has been keeping me up all night.
So you have a chair in your room. Is it facing towards your bed?
It is.
Okay. Of course, all the superstition and shit, but apparently that's like an open invitation for spirits to sit and watch you sleep.
Fuck. I don't want that.
I mean,
even if it's in the corner of my room, like, I don't want this stuff going on. Like, Jesus Christ, I'm just going to move the chair. Bye, babe.
Let's just turn it around and the ghost is facing the corner. The ghost can't turn around. He's like, "Oh, Christine. Don't leave me. Turn me around." Good Lord. That's a new one. However,
yes. Yeah.
I mean,
so we'll see if he comes back again, or maybe it's going to be a totally different person. I really want to know why it's a male figure and not a female.
Did you ever look into the history of your home?
So my house was built in 92. So it's not very old. And the only things that we had record of were a lot of divorces in the home. No deaths. So, but we're going 15 years strong and with our third child on the way. So I think we're doing pretty good for ourselves.
There you go. Take that curse and break it. Well, unfortunately, I don't have anything like that keeping me up at night. But what I do have is continuing to watch season 2 of Reacher, and it just keeps getting better. However, now I'm not happy because I pay specifically not to have ads, and Prime is all of a sudden going, "Hey, on all of our Amazon shows, enjoy some Amazon ads. And it's like, you bastard, I was doing so well. So enjoying Reacher season 2, not enjoying the new ads that are YouTubed with Apple Music down my throat.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember when U2 put their album on everybody's iTunes back in the day.
Oh, I remember.
But that's what's been keeping us up at night. Please let us know what's been keeping you up at night, whether it's Bono and the Edge or someone sitting in the corner of your room. Either one, please let us know. And speaking of Bono and the Edge, that directs us perfectly into our wonderful segue of our earworms for this week. Is there any music, podcast, anything that you have been listening to that has been on your brain?
I'm going to say I have not been listening to too much music, just because I haven't been feeling that great.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing really. I really haven't been listening to too much.
That's
been
fair.
kind of boring. It's been kind of a boring week.
Not a worry. That's perfectly fine. Well, I've got an earworm. The shuffle section and the urge to just download random songs has popped up, which, funnily enough, when this episode comes out, this will be the first weekend that I am in England. So we are traveling we're traveling to London for this weekend. So lots of adventures happening there and lots of stuff you'll be seeing on the Instagram and on the Facebook. You'll be able to see all the adventures, but some of it has been Stairway to Heaven. Don't know why, but why not? And then my personal favorite, especially because of, at this point, I am in London while you're listening to this, Werewolves of London has been on repeat.
Oh, great song.
I have never fully listened to the lyrics of that song, and it's really funny how, like, the first line is, I saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand. Okay. Then it goes, like, really dark. Oh, lady got eviscerated the other day. I was like, okay, this is a very happy song to be talking about that. But my personal favorite lyric of, I saw Lon Chaney walking with the Queen, and then I saw Lon Chaney Jr. walking with the Queen, and I'm like, good. Only one of them is the Wolfman, though, so I don't know where they were going with it, but I'm okay with it. But
I'll take it.
Yeah, right? Basically, sometimes just let shuffle do the work for you, and you might find some stuff that you haven't listened to in a bit, or you might find some brand new stuff. Those are our earworms for the week. Let us know what you've been listening to, be it podcast, spoiler sleepover, or any music. Of course, right before we get into things, of course, Christine, I have a little creeping it real for you. This one, again, we are recording well in advance. This article was published yesterday. That would be January 30th, 2024. I don't know if you heard, but after the whole Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, well, a lot of different childhood properties started getting greenlit as horror movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of which was Bambi.
Oh, shit.
Uh-huh. I don't know if you heard, but Steamboat Willie, since he went up to public domain, I think he's got 2 horror games, and I think either 1 or 2 horror movies coming with him.
I don't know if I can picture that with horror, with a Steamboat. I don't know. I mean, they're going to make it dark.
Yeah, I'll have to send you some of the images because it's a creepy looking mouse. But this one, the other one that came up as well as Bambi, is Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Okay. I mean, I can kind of see that just because there is a lot of, like, I feel like there's a lot of people that talk about, like, there could be darkness that's, like, in Neverland because basically it's children who have died and, like, they're just stuck on the island. But, I mean, we could probably go darker.
Yeah. To go back, I just saw this in the article. It's Bambi the Reckoning. And then, which I didn't know about this one, this is going to be a very, I want to see your reaction to the title. Pinocchio Unstrung.
Oh. I mean, we're going a little, he could be on drugs as well at the same time as being in a horror film.
In this Peter Pan one, first off, like the prosthetic studio is working on things like the Sean Harrison and Paula Ann Booker Harrison, such a long name. They're working on the special effects for this. They've worked on Voldemort and Mad-Eye Moody from Harry Potter. as well as some stuff in The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. So they have quite a repertoire. But one of the things is Tinkerbell is not what you think. In our version, she's hooked on heroin and convinced it's pixie dust.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Okay. So I was going along those lines. I mean, there was a little bit of drugs going on in there somewhere.
A little bit. I definitely can probably picture whether anything's been written for it or not. Pinocchio is going to lie a bunch, break off the part of his nose, and stab somebody with it.
Oh.
Or it could go worse. This is just my brain working here. Or he just continues to lie and his nose will eventually go through somebody.
I can see that more.
Because, there's no way they're going to have a horror Pinocchio movie and not have somebody get hurt or die by the nose. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to be something along those lines, I can totally see Pinocchio, being the dark person that he is. Maybe I don't what's gonna happen if he's in the whale, is he gonna kill the whale completely, is he gonna kill everybody that's in his vicinity, the father and the cat.
Oh, not the
Sorry,
cat.
kidding. Yeah.
The cat's a pain in the ass in the movie, but aw.
I mean, he's probably he's unstrung, so maybe he just, he gets unsnipped and he goes at it and kills everybody.
I have a feeling it's either going to be Geppetto's a big part of it, or the first scene is Geppetto dies because Pinocchio, something snaps. So either Geppetto makes it 2 seconds into the movie, or Geppetto is a real helpful way of trying to stop him and ultimately dying by the end of the movie. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
So when is this going to be coming out?
Filming takes place in May with a Halloween 2024 theatrical release planned.
Oh,
so
wow. Okay, so that we're talking quick.
Yeah, which we should probably, if it's May filming, then probably we'll be seeing some form of trailer or something like that, not too in the distant future. All right, so that's what I have for Creepin' It Real. And with that being said, Christine, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about The Conjuring 2.
Ooh.
And ironically, it's based in London.
Yes, which I don't know if that's even more worrisome, but hey, if you don't hear from me, maybe I'm haunted by a 72-year-old man.
I'm 72 years old.
This is my house.
We'll get there.
Oh yeah. So the movie starts off this is a all-around just dark movie. I had a tough time seeing a lot of stuff in this movie because a lot of it is based in pitch black. But it starts with a voiceover from Lorraine saying, after all we've seen, there isn't much left that rattles us. But this one still haunts me. Now, whether or not she was referring to the case we're about to see, or the case that they're currently in, which we cut to the Amityville house, which that in itself was a whole friggin' thing. Watching the Amityville movie, I know, loosely based and they have to do a bunch of that stuff, but the scene where the preacher walks into the room at the end of the hall still gives me goosebumps.
Oh, it still haunts me. I'm not going to lie. It's very haunting and it's very creepy, and I think that's what captures most of it into this movie, which is great.
Yeah. This movie, for the most part, I remember we talked about it briefly after I watched the movie, the next day at work, this was an actual scary movie up until a certain point for me personally. They're in the Amityville house and the Warrens are there and they're doing, a whole reading or all the stuff they do where Lorraine starts to spirit walk or astral project, whichever one it is. She gets up. It's a bunch of dark shots. Lorraine starts to panic and we see I thought this was one of the coolest parts of the movie, and it's a very quick throwaway. The infamous Amityville ghost boy picture.
Yes, I actually noticed that first thing when I first watched it, and I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Yep. Now it's just a little boy peeking around a corner by some stairs, and it's just beady eyes. And you probably have seen it, but it is haunting if you haven't. I kind of laughed at it too, because I wasn't expecting it, but it was also really cool to see.
I didn't necessarily laugh. It was more like I was just like, oh, they actually are bringing this into this movie. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So where are we going to go with this? Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh shit, look at that. I still thoroughly enjoy it. The basement door opens and we go into the basement, and it's just such a wide camera angle where anything could be happening at any point in time.
You really have to like pay attention to see like if there's something going on in the background.
Yeah. So the camera angle's just waiting for something to happen. And then we see a covered mirror. But then we find out there's a creepy old spooky nun, which we don't know the name of at this point. I feel like if I didn't know who this was before watching the movie, it probably would have allowed my brain to wander a bit more, because later in the movie, when we find out the name of the nun, I'm sitting there going, I know the name of the nun. I could tell you, just ask me. It's okay. We'll solve this problem right now, guys. But the nun is there. We can refer to her as Valak. It's Valak.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna slip up later in the thing, and I don't want to have to go back and be like, oh, no, it's the nun.
It is Valak.
Yeah, which quite a name, honestly. I never thought to actually look into the meaning of that. Have you?
So I did a little bit of research on it, and if I can remember, Valak is an old name that was used in, I believe it was with the biblical, with talking about that it was like this dark angel, and it ends up being Valak. So very evil, and Valak apparently is in other movies or other creepy stories, not necessarily The Conjuring.
Okay. I will say, and I mean, she has become a major icon, if you will, to the Conjuring universe, let alone this portion of horror. She is unsettling, and I love it.
You know, it doesn't help that you have certain music as a background into it.
Ooh, yeah.
Where it's very like going into a church type music, but then also like very like evil to it. Like it's just not settling to me. And
there's always some form of like chorus in the background, just whoa.
And it's repetitive, and it's just like, okay, what the fuck am I dealing with right now?
Yeah. I mean, if I had to choose a happier nun to deal with, I would choose Whoopi Goldberg. But unfortunately, we don't have Whoopi Goldberg in this movie. We get Valak. So, yeah, Valak haunts the Amityville house. That's great. I couldn't entirely tell what happened at the end of her projection. It kind of just got like all flaily and things were moving quick, but all of a sudden she's out of the projection. And she looks at Ed and goes, that is the closest to hell that I ever want to get.
Yeah.
And horrifying. So then, of course, we get our title card, which says based on a true story in Enfield, England, which I looked up Enfield. It's not that far from where I'm staying. Yikes. I will say
be careful.
The village looks really pretty though. As of right now, we're at a school and there's a couple young English girls that are like 12 and they're smoking, or one of them is smoking. Yeah. One of them is smoking and she offers the cigarette to her friend and she holds it, but she doesn't take it. Then the teacher comes out and catches them and she's like, oh, you're all in so much trouble. Go back into class right now. They go in and she looks around and takes a quick little drag herself because dealing with kids, apparently you need your nicotine. After the teacher sneaks a drag, there's a little boy named Billy and some boys are picking on him because he's got a stutter and they're just being assholes, pains in the ass to him as a group of kids. Yeah, as a group of kids come by and they take Billy with them. The first feeling I had about this group was kind of losers clubby.
Yes.
I don't entirely know why, but I mean, they're all siblings. So we get home, mom is smoking and she's angry at Janet for doing it. Janet is the girl who held the cigarette, didn't smoke, and she is our main character of this movie. And mom is like, well, you shouldn't be doing it. I'm trying to cut back, but you're a child. Don't do it. And she's like, I didn't do it. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And mom's not having it. And we start learning about the Crooked House song, which if my brain can paraphrase, it's like there's a crooked old man who lives in a crooked old house. Yeah. And he walks a crooked walk. When we get to the crooked man, he is my favorite part of this movie. Like, the movie is good. I will say, right off the top, I thoroughly enjoyed Conjuring 2 more than Conjuring 1, but the Crooked Man stood out above all for me. I don't know if he's ever made a return in any other of the Conjuring movies. I hope at some point, maybe, because I feel like he's severely underutilized.
I agree.
We also find out that Billy thoroughly enjoys his biscuits. Yep, Billy is the brother. Billy is the boy with the stutter. And he's got his little teepee at the end of the hall with the crooked box inside of it. It's like a little music carousel that you can look in, and you can see like a picture that when it moves fast, it looks like it's actually moving. It's one of those frame by frame things.
So
he's a crooked man.
Crooked man.
We find out that Janet and Camille made a spirit board. They made a Ouija board, homemade, and apparently things are talking to them. That's not something you ever want in your house.
Meanwhile, I think they made this Ouija board to get in connection with their father.
Yes. They wanted to know if he was ever coming home.
Yes.
Which
don't mess with Ouija boards. I, to this day, never have and never will. And it's because I believe that there is some evil to it, and I will not touch it.
A Ouija board is a board game, technically. And it's made by, I think is it Hasbro? Oh, it's Hasbro. Yep.
Okay.
So a Ouija board, you can get it on Amazon for $21. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm all set. Bye.
I have
Later.
no urge.
Yeah.
I
would be running from that.
Yeah. So they're trying to use the Ouija board and nothing's responding, of course. So they're like, cool, let's go to bed. And then
don't ever leave the Ouija board unattended. That is what I was always told.
Also, like, say goodbye.
You say goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And once you establish that goodbye, then you know there's nothing that can happen. As soon as I saw them not doing that, I was like, fuck, we're done. We're done.
So there's banging on the door to the bedroom, and
the sister says,
"Thank you.
Why are you banging on the door?" And she goes, "I'm not."
Yeah, which she wasn't, and we know that, but she doesn't. We cut to a talk show of, I don't remember if they said the guy's name, but the Warrens are on it. And we have skeptics, of course, because this is about when, this is after they made the Amityville house, or it brought the Warrens into the public eye. So everyone is either believing or they believe that the Warrens are using
just
people.
Using it for money. Yep.
Yeah. I do thoroughly enjoy the fact that there are skeptics in this movie, and it's so hard to agree with them because we as viewers of this movie are watching this shit happen, and like we're watching the spooky old man, we're watching the girls fly across the room, and
we're believing it.
Yeah, and the skeptic is just like, yeah, well, she's not doing that. She could have done anything else. I'm like, bitch, have you not watched the past hour and a half? Apparently not.
Are you not seeing what is happening right now? Oh, it's all fake. It's not real. It's not real. It's just a, it's nothing.
This is where mom tells Billy the next day, or whenever after the Warrens interview, hey, Billy, don't eat all your biscuits or you'll wake up thirsty in the middle of the night. So what does Billy do with all of his biscuits? He eats every single one.
Every single one.
Billy wakes up in the middle of the night, and of course there's he goes to get water, and there's the swing set outside is just swinging quietly back and forth, and it's a really long shot with Billy of just not a lot. Janet's having nightmares.
She is sitting up in bed, and she just literally moves her body up and sits in the bed and goes, "This is my house." No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
No. And she starts talking to whatever this thing is. She changes her voice. She's going back from her voice to this awful sound of this person, this older person.
It's
very manly sound.
There's something severely unsettling about sounds coming from where they shouldn't come from. Like hearing a 72-year-old British man's voice coming from a little girl.
12-year-old.
Yeah. Also, I think the movie's called Abomination or Annihilation. But there is a bear in that movie that basically won't die. And it's all decrepit. Its skull is peeking out, and it's mimicking human voices, which I haven't seen the movie. I've seen bits and pieces of that, but it is unsettling just hearing a bear kind of like growl, and then you hear inflections, and then you actually hear a voice come through. I'm not about it. I didn't know it until right now. I'm not about it.
I think I'm all set. I don't think I'd want that because I'd feel like, did the bear eat the person?
Probably, most definitely.
Multiple.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm done. Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Then I won't show you the video tomorrow. So Janet screams to leave Billy alone because basically the old man is saying through her, "Oh, I'm playing a game with Billy," and she's like, "Leave him alone." And of course it goes back to being a dark movie. Billy starts walking back to his room, and we hear a slight little music cue because we see as he's walking up the stairs and we see into the living room, we see the chair in the corner, and there's a man sitting in the chair as Billy is walking up. It's a very quick little thing, but it's a quick with a music sting just to let you know something was there. He starts walking up the stairs, and of course, you know, the movie being completely silent at this part just to get you with anything. You don't know what it's going to be. It's a fire truck toy. Kicks a fire truck across the top of the hallway. It's so loud, and it's just so stupid.
It's obnoxious.
Yeah. But it's stupid to the fact where it's like, God damn it, did that really just get me?
Yeah.
There's a lot of actual decent jump scares in this. It's where you don't want to get got because it's all jump scares. But nobody woke up to that. And he goes back to his room, and the fire truck then starts with its siren and all, and yet still nobody is waking up from that. Like, how?
Why aren't you hearing it? Like, if it's going off, I'm sorry. If I heard a siren go off, I'd be like, what the fuck's going on in my house? Why is there a siren going on in my house? Oh, it's just the toy truck. We're good.
Yeah. And then he pushes it back into the teepee, and then it comes out again, and something yells. I don't know what it is. I don't think we see anything, but something just yells.
I didn't see anything. I just heard the yell.
And then we find out that when, you know, mom shows up and she's actually a concerned parent, it isn't just like, oh, nothing happened, don't worry about it, go back to sleep. She's actually
freaked out. Yeah,
she's freaked out. And we hear creaks downstairs, and we're like, ooh, something's going to happen. Ooh, she's going to see the old man in the chair. Nope. Janet's sitting downstairs in the rocking chair. She was sleepwalking again, and she stays home from school that day, hopefully to feel better because she was up sleepwalking, all that. And mom had to leave her and go to work, which, I mean, there weren't many days like that when I was a kid because my older brother was sometimes there and our house was connected to my grandmother's. But like sometimes if my parents had to go work, I would be left alone on that side of the house, and it was fine. And nothing like this happened, but she's just watching TV. I can't exactly remember. I think was she watching cartoons or was she watching like a funny talk show?
She was watching a cartoon, but then she was also, the biggest was the talk show, and she was very big into that. And she realizes that it starts to change.
Mm-hmm. The TV starts to change, and she keeps going back up to it like, what the hell? Turn back to that. Meanwhile, in the background, the rocking chair is rocking faster and faster and faster. And then the TV's turned off, and we get a very quick glimpse of a reflection in the chair of the old man. And Janet turns around to see if anything's actually there. But what we do see is we see the remote drop from the air chair. All right. Thank you, Jason. We didn't need that. Which was a cool little effect, and then is immediately followed up with she turns back to the TV, and the old man pops out from behind the TV, face comes at the camera, and he goes, "My house!" And while I was watching this, I actually jumped and went, fucking shit, all right, Jesus. It was a good actual moment that got me.
I was not expecting the old man to come out from behind the TV. I honestly thought that she was going to look behind her and see the old man either sitting down next to her or sitting in the chair, not necessarily the remote.
Mm-hmm. The remote was a cool little, that's wicked creepy, what the hell. Man behind a TV, It was a little tee up for the main scare.
Fuck that old man.
That bastard.
My house.
I don't understand this next scene. I mean, I do, but I also hate it. We cut back to the Warrens, and Lorraine wakes up. She leaves bed. Turns out that Ed has been up for quite some time painting something he saw in his dream. So, Christine, what did Ed see in his dream? What did he paint?
He saw Valak.
He's painting the nun. And it's not a happy Valak. It's, of course, just a straight deadpan
It's a straight
face.
dead face of a nun.
Yeah. And I like how Lorraine sees it. And
she's so like, oh my fucking God. Are you kidding me?
she's not
Because
like...
she didn't tell him about seeing this creature, this nun. And then all of a sudden, all right, my husband's now painting it. What the fuck?
Yeah. There's she's visibly and audibly shaken. Like, you can hear it trembling in her voice, but also the fact of, like, Ed picks up on it and goes, "Is there something wrong?" And she goes, "No, not really. Don't worry about it." But she says, "I don't want to do the cases like this anymore. We can help where we can, but we can't go as in depth as we've been going. Like, at the Amityville house, she doesn't want to go anywhere close to that again." We cut back, and Janet is just in bed. She hears banging on the door again, and it's just such a long, like, buildup of silence. I'm waiting for something to happen, and it's gonna... I hope this makes sense the way I describe it. It definitely happened in The Conjuring. It's happened in this one. At this point now, I have seen The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. It happened in that as well. The Conjuring movies have weird timing where I'm thinking of it in, like, as a musician, I'm thinking of it in, like, 4/4 time. I'm expecting at a certain beat, I'm expecting the scare, where it's, like, always on 4. It's like 1, 2, 3, boo. But The Conjuring does a great thing where it's like, it just leaves you in suspense, and either nothing happens or something happens on, like, beat 7 or beat
And you don't
13.
know.
Yeah. And it can leave you sitting waiting in the wings for the longest time. But, like, this first one, I'm sitting there like, just fucking do it, damn it. Just do anything. But that's, of course, when it happens. The bed starts shaking. Dresser starts slamming. She gets bitten.
Again, we're going back to a bite, and we're going back to a wardrobe in their room.
Mhm.
What's up with this wardrobe? Why is it in this movie again?
Yeah.
It's not the same wardrobe, but apparently there's something about wardrobes.
And this brings me up to one of my... It's a small throwaway scene, but it makes me so happy because usually in movies like this where it's like, oh, it's haunting this family, anybody who, they bring in to try and be like, this is happening. I mean, unless it's Poltergeist, that ghost just straight up doesn't give a shit. And I love that movie. And that leads into this where they call the cops. I'm pretty sure they go across the street to their neighbor's house to be like, help, something's going on in our house. So
The
they
neighbors
call
come over.
like, the neighbor goes through, saw nothing. They called the cops. They go in with the cops, and they're like, there's nothing happening in this house. But they start hearing knocking in the walls, and then a chair. They move the chair, like, to, get higher on the wall to hear something. And the chair just scoots back across the floor, tucks itself into the table, and everybody looks at each other and goes, oh,
We ain't touching this.
Yeah, we gotta go. I'm pretty sure the cops walk out and just go, well, good luck with that. There's not much we could do. I'm pretty sure that's where they start getting their referrals to people and places, though. So that's nice of them. I'm just so happy that the ghost didn't be like, the cops are here, hide. Because there's been movies like that.
Yeah, I really and this is very typical in a lot of these types of movies as well, that the cops are going to be like, nope, I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole. I'm all set. Like, I'm here to investigate real things, not believe things that are not being seen. But they knew there's something was going on.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to admit it.
I've realized that I've been saying this entire time, but again, this is one of the coolest scenes. Again, I know I'm saying it a lot. Just days prior to this, I got this scene ruined for me, and I'm so upset. We cut back to the Warrens' house, and Mom is or Lorraine, Jesus, Lorraine is walking out into the hallway and sees her daughter just standing, staring down the hallway. It's like, what's wrong, sweetie? And she goes, Mom, points down the hallway and goes, who's that?
Who's that?
And then Lorraine looks down the hallway and her face drops. And who's standing at the end of the hallway? Christine.
Valak.
How the fuck, Christine?
She's back. Where the fuck are you at the end of the hallway?
You know,
It's not even just the face of Valak. It's the full body of Valak.
It's just Valak.
Standing there in her full on
menacingly
everything. And from head to toe, it's a nun.
Mm-hmm. And she turns and walks away down another hallway. Like, I was just, as you do on your TikToks, which I don't, but I do it on Instagram and I do it on YouTube and Facebook. I just scroll through the reels. It's literally just like TikTok, but I don't want TikTok. But I'm scrolling through
TikTok's good. Sorry.
So I'm scrolling through reels and then I see this scene. I was like, Vera Famiglia, what is that? Oh shit, this is from The Conjuring 2. And I just see the scene of the pointing and I see Valak at the end of the hall. I was like, fuck! That would have been such a cool reveal to me. Because at first I was in the mindset of, I need to click away from this. And then before I could, I saw it and I was like, well, I'm already knee deep in shit at the moment. So
Could be the reel that I sent you with the nun actually dancing. No, that was creepy as fuck. Anyway.
Valak's getting down. So Lorraine says, stay back here. And she goes to follow Valak. This is one of the scenes from the trailer that I saw many, many moons ago, where Lorraine is just going through her house, trying to find out where Valak has gone. And we find out it leads Lorraine into their like office area, where Ed has also decided, I'm going to paint a bunch of creepy shit, because I'm pretty sure one of the things that's painted, I think it's the Conjuring house itself. I don't think it's the Amityville house.
The Conjuring.
Yeah. So there's the Conjuring painting. I think there might be another painting, but it's only two paintings that are made very, very apparent and very important. Because she walks in and we see the Valak one on the wall behind her, and we're just keeping our eyes on it. She's looking around, and then I can't remember exactly which song it is, but every time that Valak showed up where there was some form of music, it was like a Christmas song.
Yes. Yes.
Was it, it's not Hark the Herald Angels, is it?
I was about to say, I think it's Hark.
Yeah. I think it was Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and it's just playing on their little tape thing. So she goes over and turns it off, and just things start going all sorts of wonky. We get the wonderful light that turns off over by the Valak painting. And in one of the coolest cuts back and forth, I really enjoyed the way they did this shot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because when it's dark, it will either swap off. It's either it's actually Valak standing there, or it's the painting. And like every now and then it keeps cutting back, and it's like, do we see actual 3D face? Do we see nothing at all? Do we see painting? And it's really well done to where it's not like a painting, face. It's very sporadic. We don't know which one's going on.
And
but
the shadow.
We see the shadow. This is after the music has stopped. I'm pretty sure the door slams and we see the shadow of Valak creep from the Conjuring painting. It's like starts shaking, and then we see the shadow walk all the way around this room to wind up behind the painting. Pretty sure Lorraine gets all the way right up to the painting, and it is Valak's face, but then she turns the light back on, and it's the painting. And it's such a great gotcha moment.
Is this also the part where the hands come out of the painting, like behind the painting, and tries to go after Lorraine?
Yeah.
I'm correct.
Yes, this is one of we see the hands poke out from behind the frame, and it's really well done where it's not like it's coming from underneath the frame. It's kind of just like coming from the wall itself.
Yeah.
And we find out that after, the painting just starts flying at Lorraine, with the nun attached to it, we find out that, first off, Valak is just mean. She does not care. There's no toying with this ghost.
Evil.
It is an evil entity, an evil spirit, and she wants Ed dead. Like, she shows a premonition of killing Ed. Was it? He's stabbed through the chest?
Yes.
Or like
he is stabbed through the chest.
Yeah, stabbed through the back, but it comes out his chest.
Yep, and she's deathly afraid because she thinks it's going to happen, because she has these premonitions that they actually do happen.
Mm-hmm. Valak basically shows this to Lorraine because, again, Lorraine can like touch people, and it's haunting. It's creepy. It's wonderful. I love it. We cut to the news report about the English house, where everybody at that point is asking, what's going on in this house? Is this real? Is there any credence to it? And there's a whole interview going on where they want to talk to the girls. They want to talk to, more specifically, Janet.
Meanwhile, it's the same speaker from the actual interview with Ed and Lorraine Warren, where he's the skeptic of, this isn't real, I'm going to prove it. It's not real. So he goes to the house in England and was like, no, I'm going to prove them wrong. There's no such thing as ghosts here.
Yeah, he brings another skeptic who's so full of himself. He's just like, why are you here? Is there anybody here that would like to talk to us? And he's just, I hate all the skeptics in this movie because I'm like, bro, we're watching it happen. Please just watch the movie with us because you will understand it. You will believe. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And then we see the first possession of Janet, where she's like in the middle of an interview. And this is all, again, through the news report. It's like, watch what happened during this in-depth interview. And then we kind of cut to it on the TV, but then we cut to the actual moment so we could see more of it, where Janet turns deathly pale and we hear her voice start going from like growling little girl to 72-year-old man named Bill Wilkins.
Bill.
He's like growling at the people, and that's where the skeptic goes, who are you? What is your name? And he goes, my name is Bill Wilkins. I'm 72 years old. This is my house. He starts explaining, and again, this is where some of the skeptics get their evidence from, is he starts talking like, I went blind, had a brain hemorrhage in that chair in the corner. So now we know why he's so attached to that chair and what's wrong with the chair.
He died in the chair.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, why are you torturing this family? Why are you choosing to go after them? He goes, I like to hear them scream. I hate it.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of chuckled at that point. Yeah. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, the ghost is being a little bit cheesy on that one, but at the same point, it's like, that's mean. You're mean. You're a mean
cool.
man.
That's not cool.
Be friends. I laughed at the next line where the mom is like, stop it, leave my family alone. And he goes, shut up, you old cow. It's like, oh, okay.
Okay, I'm done talking to you. Okay.
Basically starts freaking out, static and like lights start flickering, and then she's released. And she goes, what happened? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Janet's back. She goes over and hugs mom. We cut to later. We find out that they're now living with the neighbors across the street for a little bit until something is done and taken care of. We find out that the dog of the neighbors next door has a little bell that he likes to ring when he's like, oh, cool, I got to go use the bathroom. Please let me out, which smart. Dog doesn't have to bark. We don't have to worry about that. Damn shame that it's also right next to the living room where their family is staying. Billy wakes up in the middle of the night because he hears the bell, but it's not at the front door. There's a bell at the back door too, and the dog is just sitting there. So Billy goes over. One of the coolest goddamn reveals ever. He opens the door, and then we just hear cracking, and we're like, what the hell is that noise? We look down. The dog is now unfolding in stop motion, and it is turned into the Crooked Man.
And they all live together in a little crooked house.
I hated you doing that. That was really good.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just jealous that I got to see the acting that went along with it. I That was great.
Sorry, I did a lot of hand gestures with that, and coming live with Crooked Man.
I think the fact that that he's stop motion makes me love the Crooked Man even more, because it's so unnatural. Yeah. It's so unsettling. Everything else is smooth sailing, like in this movie. Everyone's moving fluidly, and this is the thing that is like frame by frame, and yet still keeping up with everybody else.
Yeah,
I love the Crooked Man.
Doesn't he have an umbrella too?
I believe there is a little umbrella. Yes, the voice honestly is kind of to me on him. It feels like one of those stereotypical "roll on the Crooked Man" kind of voice. Like if they didn't make any sounds, would it have been scarier? Maybe, but I feel like maybe some of the voice helps to make him spooky. But the Crooked Man starts like chasing little Billy back down the hall. He's screaming. The whole family starts waking up, and then he gets into the living room, and we just hear the crooked rhyme that was happening. Like, there was a crooked man, walked a crooked walk, and we hear the whole thing in the Crooked Man's voice. We see his shadow, and we're like, ooh, are we going to see the Crooked Man for the whole family? No, because Janet walks around the corner, and she's doing the whole Crooked Man thing, and she's still doing more interview stuff where she is possessed. We cut to the interview that was being played of Bill Wilkins, or Janet, is now being played for the Warrens. And Ed thinks that, oh man, he's just a senile old man. And the priest goes, that's the voice of an 11-year-old girl. And it's just, oh shit. The priest pleads for the Warrens to consider, because Ed already said, all right, we won't take any more of these cases. If need be, we'll just like be a consultation.
Lorraine does not want anything to do with it, but she knows she needs to help, but she's still freaking out about it.
Mm-hmm. And Ed promises, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, that's not going to last.
Nope.
I mean, I know it's a movie and it's very obvious, but man, that promise is about to be broken. And lo and behold, eventually it will be. They go to England, and the mom starts giving the Warrens the tour, and we find out that the girl's room is padlocked, chains wrapping around the corner to like the radiator, just making sure nothing happens to this room. The neighbors, they saw as they unlocked the room that they donated crosses.
Multiple crosses. And I mean, there's a ton of crosses in that room.
They are on every single wall, just like all up and down the walls, all around the room. It's a decent sized room. That is a lot of crosses, which we'll very quickly see what happens. So Ed's getting the tour. Lorraine goes down and meets Janet, and she's sitting on the swing, and Janet is just like defeated. Girl hasn't really slept. Girl hasn't really been normal, seen her friends, because she's being haunted and possessed. And
she looks frail.
Yeah, she looks really just worn down. Janet feels happy now that she found someone who kind of believes her, because Lorraine starts to connect with her. She's like, I saw an angel once. And of course, me being me, went, sure. Janet's feeling a little better, and she opens up. She's like, I'm so tired. I can't sleep anywhere. Everyone's afraid. None of my friends want to play with me anymore. It makes me feel not normal. It just makes you want to feel that way, is what Lorraine says. The ghost makes you want to feel that way. Again, it's one of the three stages. Yeah, it's one of those 3 stages of possession where it basically just beats you down until you physically can't do anything. And that's when it takes hold. We get a little more backstory. Ed's talking with the mom. He starts asking about the husband, like, is the husband in the picture? And she goes, well, the husband had twins with the woman down around the corner, so no. Which is a brief moment of, you just had to bring it up, Ed. You had to bring it up.
Yep. This poor woman has these 3 children, and he goes down the street to another chick and abroad and gets her pregnant. Okay.
Any chances of getting in contact with him? Nope. So later that night, they try and do some debunking, because the whole interview talk where Janet talks as Bill could have been faked. It could have been Janet throwing on a voice, something like that. So they decide to do a test, and it's a pretty cool test, but it's also kind of silly in a way.
Yeah.
They're like, hold water in your mouth, and then we'll try and talk to the ghost. And she's hearing the voices in her head, and the voices are basically saying, I want to hurt you right now. I'm gonna hurt you, especially Lorraine. But she spits out the water, and she's like, he won't do it with you looking, which kind of, I can let a
Then
little bit
it's
of...
leaving, Then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what are we actually believing right now?
Yeah, the skeptic might be onto something here, because I believe in the room I think it's Ed and Lorraine.
The skeptic.
The skeptic. I think the mom is there.
Mom is in the picture.
And then there's a dude. Is it? Oh, is it the skeptic from the radio interview
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
Because I think he started believing. But she takes another sip of water, and this is a really cool shot that we get to see. Obviously, everybody else doesn't get to see it because the ghost won't do it with you looking. Okay, so if we turn around, we could talk to the ghost. And Janet goes, mm-hmm. So she takes a sip.
Turn around.
Yeah, she takes a sip of water, and they turn around. The corner of the room gets dark, and we see an old man appear in the chair. It's like some weird crossfade between Janet and Bill, and soon it's only Bill sitting in the chair. You can kind of see the outline of Janet and how he's sitting. It's all out of focus, so you can't actually see a thing. We start having a conversation with the old man, Bill Wilkins, in his chair. And it's really just creepy. It's unsettling. It's haunting. One of my favorite parts about this is when Ed is talking to it and Bill first shows up. He goes, Ed, Eddie, Edward. And Ed goes, Ed is fine. He goes, your father used to call you Edward. And it's a brief moment of, oh, shit. Why does British Bill Wilkins know anything about Ed Warren?
Meanwhile, he is holding on to his cross as this is all happening.
Mm-hmm. He's holding on to his cross, and Bill is just like talking. He's explaining like how he died, why he's doing what he's doing. We can still kind of see like a little bit of Janet in the side of it. He won't move on. He wants to stay in his house. And again, he just won't let go of the girl or the family. And then Ed just points the crucifix at him. I get it. I didn't like it because it's like, hey, power of Christ. It's like, no.
It was very much like, oh my God, it's like a vampire. Like, no, the sun is blinding me. No.
Yeah, the old man is
Burns.
He's like, no, God, blah, blah, blah. And it fades back
back to Janet.
Who then we turn around and they watch her spit out the water, which is like, obviously we know he was there. I've said it multiple times. We've seen it this entire thing. Skeptics be damned. After this happens, they all start going to bed. Before they go to bed, and I believe they're still across the street, and the Warrens are living in like the guest room across the street as well. Janet talks to Mom and goes, I didn't smoke the cigarette. I just held it. I just wanted to look cool. And Mom goes, I know, I'm so sorry. And it's a little touching moment, and it's so upsetting. And then we wake up and we hear we don't wake up, but Janet wakes up because she hears the old man whistle. Janet wakes up on the ceiling in her room, and there's Bill sitting in the corner, and he's talking to her. He basically brings her into his like face so he could talk to her. And then there's a super cool trailer moment here. This is the first trailer I saw about The Conjuring 2 of this girl, Janet, in her room with all the crucifixes on the wall. And slowly but surely, they start to shake. And then they all start to turn upside down and invert. And as we know, upside down crosses, hail Santa. But every single crucifix in this room turns upside down. But watching, just going, what the hell is happening? All the crucifixes turn upside down, and it pans over to a dark corner where the old man comes running out of the corner like, bah!
Yeah.
And it's horrifying. We hear the screams, and also I did this wrong. Let me restate my fact of they weren't asleep in the neighbor's house. In order to try and get more evidence, they stayed in the actual house to actually see things. So the Warrens are just in a guest room. They come flying out. Mom comes flying out. How'd she get in the room? It's all still padlocked from the outside.
Right, they can't get in.
And in one of the creepiest scenes, especially the fact that now Mom is actually seeing it, is she slightly opens the door to the point where it's like, okay, we can kind of see what's going on in there. And she sees Janet screaming, and then old dead hands reach across her face and pull her into the room.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Mom sees the hands, and Mom sees Bill's face just go, and then back into the room. Ed gets into the room, and she is being suffocated in the curtain. Like, it's on her face, it's clinging to her face, and it's suffocating her. When they go into the room, and, it's like weird. There's, this at this point, because Ed didn't see the hands, this all could still be a hoax. Except for when they go in, and it's like, wow, little girl trying to suffocate herself in the curtains. As they're leaving, Lorraine looks at the wall, and she sees one of the crucifixes slowly move back into place. So she sees it move. There's some sort of credence here. And the severe skeptic, the woman who comes in and starts talking with the Warrens the next day, they meet at like a coffee shop or a cafe or whatever. And she's like, everything that the girl has said about Bill Wilkins is all public information. She could have looked it up. We could have, looked it up on or at the library, what's at my house, things like that. The other skeptic who was on the radio thing, it's like, we took pictures of her levitating, and it straight up looks like the way her knees are bent, she could have been jumping.
Yeah.
Which they all point out.
They're like, it's fake. It's not real.
Yeah. They do another setup montage, but at the same point, we learned about earlier that when they were younger, they had an Elvis record that they loved to listen to.
I love this part.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually really good too. But
wise men say.
Anyway, I don't know the words to the song except for
come on, Jason.
Sorry.
Come on.
Except for I can't help falling in love with you. Listen, I'm still upset at Elvis because, listen, Elvis died on August 16th in 1977, and Groucho died on August 19th. So nobody gave a shit about Groucho. It was all about Elvis at the time.
Okay, I'll give you that. All right.
Besides that, the entire movie up to this point has been some dark, dismal shade of gray, blue, just bleh. And the Elvis record shows up and is the brightest, colorful thing I've ever seen in this entire movie.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But we see Patrick Wilson and his wonderful musicianship, as we learned about with Insidious, The Red Door, and Ghost. Patrick Wilson can sing.
And very good.
Oh, yeah. He does. He puts on his whole Elvis impression. And honestly, singing out of the side of his mouth at some points in this song, which is really funny. But he starts singing Can't Help Falling in Love with You. And it's a really nice moment. It's a nice little reprieve after all of this shit has been going down. And it's really
like a calm after a storm, but yet the storm is not there yet.
Yeah. We find out a little bit about Ed and Lorraine. Like, Ed's helping fix the sink, similar to the way he fixed the car in the first movie. So he's helping around the house, and he's talking with Janet, and he's like, well, there was some of the stuff that I saw when I was a kid, and nobody believed me, and then somebody did, and Janet goes, you married her? And he goes, I see you've heard the story before. Aww.
I thought it was cute.
It was, but
I was like, oh, it's a little touching.
Lorraine said the same thing earlier when she was sitting on the swing that, hey, when, nobody believes you, and then I found somebody who believed, and she's like, well, what'd you do? And then Lorraine goes, well, I married him. little chuckle, little funny moment. The mom goes, I mean, could you help with the laundry room? He goes, yeah, that's fine. They go downstairs, and we saw the laundry room like at the beginning of the movie, but it's
flooded.
It is flooded. It is at least up to your knees in water down in the basement. I said out loud, it's a dumb line, but it's a pan back, and you see the whole flooded room, and Ed Warren goes, bloody hell. And it's like, oh, that was the most American way you could have said that.
Oh, yeah. Dark, gruesome water.
Yep.
They didn't have sub pumps. They don't have stuff like they did here now.
We see Ed goes in to try and help, and he goes in to try and find the leak. And we see a hole in the ceiling where it's like old rotted board. And I went, well, that's going to come in handy later. He keeps going and finds the pump that's leaking. Meanwhile, the mom is up on the little stairs and goes, Ed? And she sees something moving. We see it as Ed's fixing the pump, but we see the old man come out of the water and start walking towards him. And she's trying to warn him. And then ultimately he leaves the water as the mom comes in. And she looks down and sees Bill's face in the water. And he drags mom under the water. Ed has to help her. And then I didn't entirely understand what this was. We see Bill's teeth somehow attached to mom's arm.
Yes. Yeah.
How did that come out of the ghost apparition, though?
Because I think that the teeth were in the basement to begin with.
Oh, okay.
That was my whole theory on it, that the teeth were down there. But it's like, it belonged to him. So it didn't necessarily come out of the operation of it. It just was there.
Okay. Yeah, so the teeth fall off of her arm, and there's a bite mark, and it's like, that's weird. It's got two specific, I think it's like at least two, but in a section, missing teeth. So it's
it's a unique bite mark.
Yeah, that only he had.
Mm-hmm. And then Ed looks at the mom, and it's like, I couldn't entirely tell what was he thinking. Was it like, did she plan this? Because we saw the dentures fall. Did she like clamp it on herself, or was this real? It's just a weird, quick little moment of maybe this is real, or maybe you're full of shit. Either way, while this is happening down in the basement, I guess his name is Johnny. Earlier in the movie, one of the other brothers, Johnny, they were talking about it. It's like, if you are afraid of this thing, it will give it power. Don't be afraid of it. So he goes, we can't be afraid of this thing. And he walks into the kitchen because Janet's staring at the kitchen. It's like, don't you see that? Johnny goes in to fight something, which I was expecting anything to step out. It is literally just a shadow of a room. So Johnny goes in to face the thing. He does something in this movie because I don't think he did anything else earlier at all. I think this is the only thing he does. Johnny goes into the kitchen, door slams shut, and we hear breaking, we hear screaming. Everyone starts trying to get into the kitchen. Things are being thrown, and Johnny's like cowering in a cabinet, and we hear more growling and shit. And Ed opens up like a heating pipe or an electrical pipe box, and inside is demonic looking Janet, just all spooky looking face and everything, somehow hidden behind a bunch of pipes.
Yeah.
And Ed, of course, uses his wonderful crucifix and it's like, stop it. And she kind of is subdued, and they take her out of the pipes. And this is where they go, how the hell did she get back there?
Yeah.
Then we get the skeptic back, and the skeptic's like, I have proof that she's faking it. And at this point, we're like, what is she talking about? She was apparently just outside the kitchen with a camera, and they were taking video and pictures of the fact that Janet is literally just throwing things around. There was no ghosts. There was no poltergeisty, spectral nonsense. It was just a little girl smashing up a kitchen. The Warrens decide, hey, we gotta go. Like, we believe you, but there's nothing we can do. We can't bring any evidence back that cannot be easily debunked, and we can't go ahead with anything without permission from, say, the church or anything like that. So they start to leave. The family's like, well, what the hell? We thought you believed us. And they start heading out to the train station. And suddenly they get the idea. They got recordings of like the voice of Bill.
Yep.
And it makes no sense. It's just random word. But they have two recordings of it. And then I thought this was a pretty cool scene. It was like a weird super setup for it where Ed's like, hopefully I play this right. And it's like he rewinds one just a half step behind, and he hits play, and they play alternating each other with the message of help me, it won't let me go.
Yeah.
This is how Lorraine all of a sudden meets Bill. She astral projects to walk into a room with an old man sitting in a chair, and it's Bill. He's still old and grisly, but he's got a bit more of a softer tone in his voice because we find out that's not really Bill that's been haunting this whole time.
Nope.
Yeah, Bill is basically just going, want to leave. I don't want to be enslaved. And
She's in her study carving in her book.
that's when she met Bill. Lorraine is back in the study with her daughter right next to her. This is where I first started noticing it. You sent me that TikTok the other day of...
Yes.
I started noticing like the little vanity letters on the library shelves. And I was like, that spells Valak, doesn't it? Which you sent me a TikTok of. Apparently there's the lead up to this entire movie. Valak is spelled everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like there's letter blocks and like on the shelf in the kitchen. Valak has been in front of us this entire time.
And we didn't even know it.
Yeah. I'm glad that I didn't realize it until like the scene where it's spelled out, where Lorraine is talking with Bill and he's like, you can weaken it by using its name. And she just starts carving into her Bible. It's like, oh. And then she looks down at it and doesn't entirely get it. And I was like, pretty sure that says something important, Lorraine. Please read that. We find out that Janet also basically just had to lie to the Warrens and pretend to smash things up because the ghost was saying it will kill you all if I don't make them leave. So this is still oh so very real. Everything's gone to hell, and it's just so upsetting. The Warrens come flying, and it's pouring buckets. Janet's back in the house. Mom has run across the street, I believe, because, some of them were still in the neighbor's house. And Ed shows up, smashes the window as Mom's slamming on the door. And he sees Janet, but the couch flips up and blocks the window.
Yeah.
So now it's like, oh, shit, something did that. And it definitely wasn't an 11-year-old girl. Great. So he goes around back and tries to get in through the door, tries breaking in through like the basement door. And this is where Lorraine is like, you promised me? Remember, you promised. And he goes, I'm so sorry. And he goes into the house, and Lorraine is not happy with him because she's
seeing what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, she is seeing the thing that Valak is making her see, and it's that Ed is going to die right now. He's going to die in this house. So Ed goes into the house and looks up, sees that little hole in the ceiling again, crawls up through the ceiling, like old decrepit hole, and one of the pipes burst and just sprays hot steam in his eyes. Uh-huh. And this is where we get another look at my boy, the Crooked Man. He's just lurking. He's hanging out in the back, following Ed as he's blindly squinting his way through the house and doesn't do anything yet. Yeah. He doesn't do anything yet, but as Ed gets upstairs, the teepee and the Crooked Man box starts spinning, starts making music. And this is another one of those trailer moments. Ed goes up to the box and he's watching it. The Crooked Man disappears.
Yeah.
And it did this.
It freaks me out.
Yeah, it did that earlier. Of course, they were over at the neighbor's house, with the dog, the Crooked Man box, and the teepee in their house across the street, all alone on its own. Starts spinning. Crooked Man disappeared from the little projection thing. That's how he was over at the house next door. Ed staring at this box. It starts spinning. Crooked Man disappears, and we get a couple shots back and forth of Ed in the box, and nothing's there. And then all of a sudden, the Crooked Man is right behind Ed, and he's a wrinkly, slimy looking motherfucker with like spectacles on top of the brim of his hat where his eyes are supposed to be. He's a weird dude, but I love him. He's my favorite.
He's creepy. Creepy, weirdly looking like a cartoon something.
Yeah. He looks like a shark with those teeth, honestly.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Bruce from Finding Nemo.
Hi, Bruce.
Yeah.
Hello, Bruce.
Yeah, just hello. And it's just the biggest, sharpest grin of just, I don't want anything to do with it. Thank you, though.
Smells good.
Oh. That scene as a child haunted me. It's like, wow, that's a really nice shark. Why did his eyes turn black? Oh, God.
Oh, he smelled blood. Human flesh.
Yummies. This is where the movie goes from actually scary to it's got like a weird supernatural thriller feel to me. So Ed somehow gets upstairs and he's like praying his whole way there. Meanwhile, Lorraine is like, what is your name? What is your name? She's outside. And then she goes, oh my God, pulls out her Bible, starts flipping through, and it spells out Valak. The thing that kind of took me out of the scene, and it's going to sound really dumb, she flips V-A-L-A-K and stops on K. keep flipping. There might be something else. We know there's not something else. You don't know this yet.
Right.
She stops on Kay and it's like, Valak, I know your name. And this is, again, where it starts going a little Catholic-y superhero. So as soon as she finds out that it says that the name is Valak, lightning strikes the tree in front of the house, shatters the tree, and that's the big pointy, spiky thing that we see in the premonition of Ed landing on. So,
Yeah.
Lorraine goes, "Oh shit, it's definitely going to happen.
I have to go help him."
Yeah. So Ed is working his way upstairs, and in one of the bedrooms upstairs, the Crooked Man drops from the ceiling, bounces off the bed, and he manages to slam the door. It's another quick little Crooked Man scare, but the stop motion kills me every time. It's so cool. I love it. It's even creepier that way, I think. I feel like if they did the Crooked Man in any other way, it probably wouldn't have had the same effect. So Ed finds himself into the girls' room, and Janet is opened the doors or the windows to right above that branch now, and Mom is outside seeing this. Ed runs in and grabs her to try and save her, but he's holding onto the curtains. Lorraine gets in through the basement, crawls up the same exact way Ed gets in. She gets upstairs, and she sees Ed is about to fall out the window. I feel like I'm relying on you for this one all the time. Who's in the corner, Christine?
Oh, it is Valak. Valak.
Valak. The nun is sitting in the corner, all creepy looking, basically like, ha, your husband's about to die. Na 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 na. And this is where, again, Catholic-y superhero, Lorraine goes, I know your name, Valak. And Valak turns around like, uh-oh. Very Scooby-Doo. I've been caught. Oh, shit.
The eyes on Valak are like, fuck. She knows.
You were supposed to know? Damn it. And then Valak basically force pushes Lorraine against the wall, and Lorraine just starts praying at it. Valak the Defiler, the Profane, the Marquis of Snakes, and just
that's right, yes.
And basically says, I send you back to hell where you came from. And I don't know, I feel like I was honestly expecting more for Valak, but we see her kind of wither away. We see a quick flash of her demon form, and then Valak just goes poof. Lorraine runs over, helps rescue Ed and Janet, so that way he doesn't fall out the window and get impaled on a tree.
Yeah.
And then the whole family is safe. There was a touching moment earlier where Ed was he was fixing the sink, and he was talking about the cross that he has, and he's like, well, you know, this has been protecting me this entire time. And I'm sitting there going, he's going to give that to Janet. He's going to give that to Janet. And as they're leaving the very next day, he goes, take my cross. He's like, I don't need this anymore. You can. And that's when Janet goes, I'm so lucky. It kind of sounded lame to me. But it's meant to be kind of a happy ending. And then I enjoyed the end scene because it had the bit of continuity where Ed brings the Crooked Man box back to their little museum and puts it right next to the little mirror box from the first Conjuring. And again, we're expecting something to happen. And then as Ed leaves the museum, he walks out, and Lorraine is playing the wonderful little Elvis song of I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. And they dance, and that is the end of The Conjuring 2. Before we get to our rating, Christine, we have to, of course, crown a bloody legend of the week. And for this one, I have to give it to Bonnie Aarons. She played Valak, and it became its own creature. It spawned 2 spin-off movies, The Nun and The Nun 2, Electric Nunaloo. She's, again, it's going to sound so insulting. She has great bone structure, which they utilize. They don't really do much besides paint her face white and give her contacts. Her facial structure is Valak, and it's haunting. It's creepy. It scares the shit out of anybody really who looks at it. And I would say it's probably if the Crooked Man wasn't the one we got out of this movie, I'm happy that it was Valak, because Valak, I guess, was the puppet master of all of this. But yes, Bloody Legend of the Week goes to Valak, Bonnie Aarons, for our Demon Nun. It's great.
Oh, she's so creepy.
Yeah.
But so good.
So, with that being said, let's of course start to rank this movie. Christine, out of 10 crooked men that walk a crooked path, how much would you give this movie?
So, last week, this was tough because I kind of went with it as a high number. And I'm going to say I'm going to go higher. And this week I am going to say that this is a 9.
Ooh.
And I will give it a 9. And the reason why I'm not giving it a 10 is because it's a typical horror movie. And I feel a lot of it's the same in a lot of different horror movies. But I definitely give it a 9 because it's pretty up there. I mean, we have a mixture of different things going on. We have the history with Valak, and like there's other parts to it, like with the nuns, which we'll get into. But it really speaks to me because there's just so much involved in this, and you can't go wrong. I mean, it's definitely a really good movie to watch, and yes, nothing always beats the first movie. Nothing always beats the first Conjuring, but I do say that they captured a lot into this movie to make it better than the first. So I will give it a 9 for The Conjuring 2.
Sweet. I would agree. It's definitely a higher rating for me. If I remember correctly, I think I gave The Conjuring 1 a 6. This one, I think I would have to give it an 8. I remember texting you going, this is already better than the first one for me. It gave more of a unsettling feeling. It was definitely, instead of just like the creepy ghost boy or the mom in the house, it was several different characters, and I was okay with that. Usually people will say, oh, it had too many characters. That's what was the downfall of the movie. Like they said that was Spider-Man 3. I enjoyed Spider-Man 3. But like the Crooked Man is horrendous and I love him. The old man is creepy in his own way, and Valak again is now a horror icon of sorts. And I would give this movie an 8, way leagues better than the first one in my opinion. And I'm very interested to see what our wrap up will be in next week's episode. I hate the name. Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Made me do it.
Not The Conjuring 3, just The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. But that, of course, is next week on Spoiler Sleepover. As we wind down for this episode, again, Christine, thank you very much for coming on to talk about spooky movies and The Conjuring. You have a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight on that.
Very much so.
Perfect.
Much so.
Like, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface on what you have in your brain for this, and I would love to talk about it.
Oh, it's to be continued.
Good. But, of course, until next week, sleep tight, suckers.
I'm 72 years old.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Spoiler Sleepover. But the fun doesn't stop there. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spoiler Sleepover. And be sure to check out our website, www.spoilersleepover.com, for more. That would be really fantastic of you. So until next time, sleep tight, suckers.
Spoiler Sleepover is sponsored by Willow Tree Kitchen.
Willow Tree Kitchen is a one-woman owned and operated bakery currently slinging delicious vegan cookies, mixes, and baked goods out of Kitchen Local in Amesbury, Mass.
Follow Willow Tree Kitchen _ on Instagram or go to their website at willowtreekitchen.com for more.